Okay, we're recording, uh, even though it didn't announce it. Thanks everyone for joining. This is our monthly third Wednesday of the month cadence calls for the ISSIP certification study guide and course. And we have Antonio, who, thank you, Antonio. You contributed some many great questions. And we have Christine, our vice president, who has also contributed many questions in the technology area and also set up the notebook LM. What I thought I would do is before we dive into the discussion, Antonio and Christine, I just want to share where we are in terms of our goal. So let me share my screen. And I'll also talk about what I think the next steps is, and then I'll turn it over to you both for discussion. Um, but let me close this. This is okay. So here's where we are. We've got 98 questions, multiple choice questions. Um, there's a general category where we have about 10. There's disciplines where we have 11, systems and industries, we've got 6, cultures and geos. We are just discussing how to build that up. I've got a couple. Antonio is going to work on a couple. We'll get that up to 10. We've got 24 in technology. Thanks to Christine, you created, I think, all 24 of these. For work practices, Sei Chen created 10. For mindsets, oh my gosh, we've got 37 there from Antonio, 27, and Christine, you created 10 there as well. So we're in very good shape in terms of having the base level questions. We still do need to get this cultures and geos up. But in terms of having base level questions as a starting point, which is our goal for the end of August, we're in very good shape. Um, Now, and I'll get into, the challenges ahead as well, but in terms of just the base level goal of hitting our goal of 100, we're in great shape. Um, and Sachin asked if 100 is right, and I said, yeah, correct. Um, and um, and the misconception matrix, the reason I share that regularly is this document also has this quality rank ordering of the misconceptions. So if you look at, for example, disciplines, the discipline that comes up the most when I do searches for service innovation is design. The second most frequent discipline is marketing. Third most is operations research. Now, depending on what quality rank ordering you want to use, things may come up in a different order for each of these, but that's where this misconception matrix comes in handy is for the quality rank ordering. Um, the uh, the thing that I wanted to look at where the work is ahead, and I think this is work that, I'll get started. If I find a way to send out a request to you all to help with it, I will. But I think I've just got to get started with it. So if we look at like Antonio's homework, well, let's not look at that one. Let's look at one of these down here, maybe. Yeah, mindsets here. So Antonio had a very systematic approach here where he had it in a table, not unlike the misconception matrix, where there was a quality rank ordering discussion. There were references, perfect, because if we're going to have a curriculum, you got to have the references. And then he had the multiple choice question with the right answer. And the other thing that Antonio did a great job on is he made sure the distractor, that they were all roughly the same size. And his questions, the style of Antonio's questions, because he's a very practical, how do we apply this in the real world? His are scenario based. So he always came up with like a scenario and the same size questions. So that was how Antonio did it. But if we look at like I'll go to Christine last, but if we look at like Sachin's questions, he he was more like a minimalist. So he had very, here's the question, here's the answers, and and these are good too, of course, but they're different from Antonio's. They're not in the same format. They don't have the thing they're really missing is the link to the Coursera course where one might find the answer or some other reference, because the curriculum will be a list of the Coursera courses and each question has to connect somewhere. Now, if we look at the great examples that Christine has, and she has this Notebook LM set up to help put them into a standard format as well. Um, Hers not only have the questions, and overall, I noticed, Christine, your distractors were good, and but every once in a while I noticed that the correct answer seemed to be the longest. So so that's the normalization that might have to be done. But what was great about yours is you also had this persona tag and a difficulty. Um, and really explicit reasoning and services. Now, obviously, all this stuff has to be checked. It all has to be put in a standard format. I mean, that's for me in my mind, that's like September, October, December. We're going to be doing a lot of that standardization work. The goal for August was just to get a starting point. But the most important thing to me is um, now that we're closing in on the goal of 100, now we have to start thinking about, okay, let's put them into a standard format where we know the distractors are of equal length. Let's make sure that, these great tags, Christina, well, the most important tag is, in my mind at least, we can talk about this, is the source, the reference to a Coursera, ideally a Coursera course. Um, and I'll tell you in a minute why I think that's going to be so important that it's a Coursera course. But if it's not a Coursera course, it could be like, a journal article, a book, or some other LinkedIn course or something else. But ideally, we want it to be a Coursera course because that creates some kind of standardization that Terry Griffith thought would be good, and it is good. If we ever wanted to have a partnership with Coursera and we were directing, ISSIP was directing people to lots of different Coursera courses, that could be a great partnership opportunity for ISSIP. All right, so that's what I wanted to share. I'm gonna stop sharing and get your comments, Christine. Um, Sorry, my cat Petey is like joining the party. Christine, did that all make sense to you?
Yeah, yeah, I like the plan. I was just going to comment that, from a cultural standpoint, um, if you go to China today as a tourist or to work there, right, as an expat, you have to know how to use WeChat. You have to kind of know Alipay, right,
Yeah.
to get around. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
right. So, and then those two are, I think, are probably the biggest service innovation in China in the past 50 years
Great.
or 20 years, right? And then there's also, the Taobao, the Chinese version of TikTok, right? Um, that just the that kind of service connects the mass, right?
Yep.
The people, right? And then create communities. I think that's very powerful. That I think because you mentioned that one in the when it's real, the music uh, skills. So I think again from a cultural standpoint, it's not just when you go to China try to be polite you bow if you go to Japan that kind of thing, right? But more so in the modern society,
Right.
what is that you should know, right,
The
about
digital, the
that
digital
culture.
service. Yeah, the digital
Yeah.
service infrastructure that you got to plug into to just
Right. So I can help create maybe five, couple, just from a modern technology standpoint, service innovation in, APAC, right? Or
yeah.
maybe Europe too, like the the ones that I think for example, even the identity, the privacy
Yeah,
um, uh, uh, policy, right, in Europe, which is more strict, is stricter than what we have in the US and even more so than, for example, in China. So the impact of that, right, and then kind of bring the awareness, people's awareness of, oh yeah, this is privacy, this identity, you're not supposed to share. For example, email. In the past, I probably if you ask me for somebody's email, I probably just send it to you. But now I would ask that person first before I send it to you, right? So
right.
then that kind of thing. So each continent has its kind of own characteristics, or or the left a footprint in the service innovation space, right?
Right.
So maybe I can create a few
That'd be great.
for the
That would be
culture,
great.
yeah,
That would be great.
that one.
I wonder if there is a Coursera course or some other, platform for learning instruction that has traveling to China today. Wouldn't that be interesting to,
Probably, yeah. It's
uh,
not in YouTube,
yeah, yeah, or
probably tons,
YouTube. Yeah,
tons,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, YouTube
tons
has
of it.
great educational materials. That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and someone recently suggested because we're approaching, I don't know, 300, 500 YouTube videos on our ISSIP channel that we should
Mm,
try to become a YouTube influencer,
mm,
and get some revenue from people watching
yep,
YouTube channel. But I think you have to have at least 1,000 posts
a
before
thousand.
you even
Mm.
consider
Yeah,
the.
I talked to Andrew,
Mm,
on Monday,
yeah.
and one of the things I was suggesting, as a ambassador lead, that he
Uh-huh.
could do is that he can work with the other ambassadors and encourage the members to join the LinkedIn, to join YouTube, right, the community, the ISIP community,
Yeah.
just to participate, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that reminds me of a document that was created by one of our new ambassadors. Let me do that. And then we'll cut over to you, Antonio. But so in this ambassador channel, somewhere back here, there's, where is it? There was a new ambassador who said, "Hey, is there a quick start guide for ambassadors? Because I don't know everything I'm supposed to do." And I said, "No, there isn't, but why don't you create one?" And I was delighted when he actually did that. And I think he posted here somewhere. I have to go way, way back, obviously. Boy, there's a lot of communication here in this ambassador channel. But yeah, who was it? Okay, not Sachin. Yeah, this is something I should get on Andrew's radar. Maybe I'll put it at the bottom of the channel here when I once I find it, I'll just get the link. Um, okay, here we go. We're almost there because I remembered it was just before we started on the MCQs. Who was it? Oh gosh, not Andrea. Um, sorry. Okay, it wasn't Rupal. Okay, who was it? I think we're getting close. Maybe I've overshot. Well, Antonio, we'll go with you because I'm having trouble finding this. If you don't mind, I'll just keep scrolling here. But let me just take one more second
Take
here.
your time, Jim.
Okay, okay, thanks. I'm almost there, I'm sure. Okay, David Ing. Well, if I can't find it in a second here, I'm going to give up. Okay, I can't find it. Let me search. It was quick start, so I should just search for quick. Dinesh, haha, right here. Okay, so let me grab that copy link. Okay. Uh, oops. CV ambassador. Quick start. Developed. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
Antonio.
good. Thanks. That's a good find. Yeah, I recall seeing that, but I forgot about it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much. It's easy to forget.
For that, the ones maybe we can ask Andrew to kind of harden it, and then we can put it on the website. So then it's really, then everybody knows, once you become an ambassador. And also the other thing I was talking about,
Yeah.
you added the 4 questions to the interview, and
Yeah.
those 4 questions, I think those are more of the fundamentals. I
Yeah.
would, if I were the
Yeah.
interviewer, I would prefer, let's say, the applicant would fill that out in the form. So,
Yes.
like I know our volunteer form is more generic because you can volunteer for different things.
Yeah.
So, but then some of these, like you have to sign the handbook, the conduct, right?
So,
The rule of conduct, right?
right.
And then there are a few things that are like the bare minimum, like the basics. If you are a ISSIP member, you should
Mhm.
be doing it anyway. If you are ambassador, of course you got to do that. So that I think we need to put it as a kind of a more of a basic thing. Whereas in the interview, then we really, because if those people didn't even qualify when they submit the answers through the form, right, volunteer form, then we screen them out. We don't even waste our time, right?
Yeah.
Uh, we don't set up that the interview.
Yeah.
Just like you apply to a job, right?
Right.
Um,
You got to have all the,
there's some basic qualification you
yeah.
gotta meet.
Yeah.
If not, then you know.
Like,
So we only interview the ones that are the good candidates, right?
right. Yeah. With a complete
Mm,
package. Yeah. That's good.
mm-hmm,
Uh,
mm,
yeah. I just added some additional comments here to this thread here. So let me,
yeah,
uh, like a job interview if the package is not complete. No need to interview them. They still
yeah,
have work to do to complete their self-nomination. Yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking AI would eventually help us with too, Christine, is, they could have a conversation either with Jim Twin or like an ISIP
yeah,
bot that's the ambassador bot. And just like,
yeah,
okay, you're not quite ready for an interview with one of the real
right,
ISIP
yeah,
leaders, but I'm here to interview you right now, and I can see there's 3 things that still aren't
yeah.
done.
We can certainly do that too. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So eventually
um,
with the AI helpers too. Uh,
yeah.
cool. Okay, Antonio, Um, first of all, thank you for joining early so we could discuss making sure we get the Latin and Spanish culture better represented in our culture stuff. And thank you for signing up to get that the system question and any others you think would be good for the geoculture. Uh, did my review of kind of where we are and what we've got to do next, did that make sense? And maybe you could share a little bit also, maybe with Christine, about your thoughts about the academy or starting something down in Latin America with ISIP. So anyway, over to you,
Uh,
Antonio.
okay, thank you, Jim. Well, first of all, 98 is a very high number for 100 MCQ questions. This is, I think, and the two that you point out about Latin America, Christine, I was telling Jim that we are missing 650 million people over there. This is Ibero America, Latin America. all is at least 30 countries,
Mm.
and they don't have, I think, the experience, the knowledge about service. Because I was telling to Jean, to me, ISSIP is changing the service vision in order the digital vision of service digital, because we have in other world, to me, revolution or um, transferring or whatever is we are in another world, the digital world, and service is no okay. You have a customer service, but service is not just customer service. Service is a, 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 a skill. That's why it's say service skill is the way we do our behavior, our performance in business, and our how can we display the citizenship of each one. So we are in a big business with service. And I was telling, if we having in mind maybe something related to ISSIP or whatever, and initiative or idea about what can we do as ISSIP in for the Spanish people. And this is, I think, it will be very good things to do for those guys, because maybe they don't know what is service science, because they are just focused on customer service. And what is the process? How can you apply service in your performance, in your organization, in the management, in the process, in operations? And uh, I was working with Walmart in OPD strategy. And then the big problem that maybe it's not Walmart, all the companies, is that they don't have, how can you engage employees? Engagement means mindset. Engagement means systems. And then they say, and the other thing, that big thing that they have right now is the lack of uh, collaborations. Collaboration. They don't have. They have a group, not team. A team is different than a group. So there are many things that we have here in the States, but those things are really needed in those countries.
Mm.
And I think in my next future, not that long, but I will try to do something over there. I'm
Good.
making my mind to go back to Venezuela in
Mm.
order, but I will continue doing. I've been in many universities in Venezuela and in Colombia,
Mm.
and I would like to, with you help, with Jean and Christine and the ISIP as a whole, can put something, seed over there in order to grow up the culture of service. So that's
Yeah.
what I did. So it's very important. Jean, what you are doing with IC is very important, because as alien here in the States, when I went to trying to get a job, they didn't ask me about my academic studies. I've been I have my master in education in the Indiana University, and
Yeah.
excuse social communication. See, they just ask me, Antonio, what do you know? What
Exactly.
skill
Exactly.
do you have that I need, and I pay for it?
Yeah, that's right.
And that's it. So you don't need those. Okay, for education is very good. That I am not a PhD or doctor, but I think I've been I feel happy doing what I am. So
Well, let me just fill Christine in on a couple things that she may, there's just so much. But Christine, Antonio also has a book on servitization as part of our Business Expert Press series that's quite good. And it's, servitization is that process by which companies shift from product to service. It's a culture change mindset thing. But the point he just brought up, about his academic background and his industry background is important because I think that's characteristic of a lot of our ISSIP membership is that they leadership especially is that they have both the industry and the academic, publications, industry publications. That's they go to academic conferences, they volunteer at universities. That mindset I think is very good. The other thing I'd point out is how often a multiple choice question is kind of in multiple 6T categories, like, healthcare and AI, for example, or what you were just describing, Christine, with all these digital platforms that you have to know about when you go to China. That's both culture and geography, but it's also technology. And those platforms are part of work practices, right? It's part of, the work practices. So it kind of hits all of them. And Antonio, you made some great points about mindset. It's not just, culture in terms of language culture. It's corporate culture as well. So I think, these things kind of interpenetrate, they're they're all connected. But it was a good job that ISIP did with NSF to identify these six, 6 areas that are more like the questions you need to know when you go to work for a company. It's not just, what's your academic background, what degree level do you have? It's like, what do you know? Which of these platforms do you know? What kind of mindset do you have, right? All of those are important. Hey, we're a little over time, and I'll get this
Uh,
recording up. But Christine, go ahead.
yeah, Jim, I have a quick question. Because I'm trying to work on to add a few more questions for the
Great.
system industry in sectors in that dimension.
Yep.
Um, and I can't find it. It's somewhere because somewhere on my drive, but I can't find it. You have a table that has different industries. Big
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
table.
yeah.
Yeah,
Let me
I don't
put.
know what is it called. If you give the name, if I search it, the name, then I can probably find it.
Yeah, I call that the systems discipline
Discipline.
matrix. So there's the picture right there. So I will just drop that into the ambassador Slack. That's called the systems discipline matrix. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Very good. Yeah, and Steve Kwan and I, it's not shown here because we got 3 dimensions and it got too complicated, is that's the 3D. This is the 2D T model, which has systems and disciplines, but there's a 3D T model that has the countries and the geos. The culture and
Yeah.
the geo is the third dimension. And then you keep, it goes higher and higher dimensional. Um, but yeah, in fact, maybe one other thing for this recording is there's a big overlap, obviously, between this certification study guide and curriculum and another monthly speaker series that ISIP has, which is the, oh, let me stop. Let me move this. We also have this uh, uh, T-shaped development is T-shaped development series. We have speakers every month. This is the second Wednesday of the month, but these are all the explorations of T-shaped. And the most recent one was the role of T-shapes and ERP enterprise, a case study, but this was really a marketing insights report. And if I go to the presentation here, how the market speaks about T-shaped. And this was a really, really great study. So there's a lot of interconnections of some of these different speaker series. I'll just mention that.
Jim, can you send the original? Because the one that you did is probably a screenshot and it's very blurred. It's not high resolution. I like to upload that to the notebook just to
Oh, okay.
yeah, so that if you have the source, I don't know, it's a PPT or what type of format you have.
Yeah, I had PPT, so let me go ahead and I'll
PPT
upload
or
it after the recording.
yeah, send me the PDF, it's fine. PDF or PPT, it's fine.
Okay.
Because that screenshot, it's not high resolution, so
Okay.
it's not good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
upload that
All right.
now. All right. Thank you both.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Chris.
I'll play with those bit today. Again, create maybe 5 for systems and industry sectors and 5 for culture.
Yeah.
Again, they're all intertwined. It's not, but
Yeah.
then because we don't have anything in the culture, so we put them in the culture.
Yeah. Yeah. We pick a primary and say,
Yeah,
okay, this could
primary.
be in
Yeah.
several places, but this is the primary
Right.
right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're in good shape. We do have these like short answer ones that Say Chen did. We've got
Yeah.
the scenario ones that Antonio did. We have the really nice ones that you have with the persona and the difficulty level. So yeah, and then there's some that I'm working on that actually introduce ISIP leadership, because
Yeah.
you can have
Yeah.
a
Those
multiple.
are the general ones.
So
Yeah.
we've got like four types of questions with different difficulty levels, and they can go into multiple places. But I think, eventually we'll have like a personalization thing. So when
Yeah.
somebody wants to get a study guide, they'll say, and I'm interested in mostly, stuff that I'm going to apply in my job and industry because I'm a healthcare worker, or whatever, or I'm in government, and based on the profile that somebody puts in, that will create a specialized, unique study guide just for them that's unique, not like anybody else's study guide. Of course, it'll be based underlying on the questions we're putting in right now. But that's kind of the vision, is that is people
Hmm.
should have something that's very, very personalized, because personalized stuff is higher value. Commodity stuff where everybody gets the same thing, that's kind of lower value.
Yeah.
Higher
Yeah.
value is when it's very personalized and it's appropriate to you. And I think
Yeah.
ultimately that's what's going to excite people about being part of ISIP, is like, oh, this is relevant to me and my
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
state as a
Right.
student, or as a,
Yeah.
whatever stage of life you are, or
Yeah.
whatever you're doing. It's
It cannot be static. It has to be
right.
like personalized, customized, dynamic,
Yeah.
um, and then we have the technology to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah, but then we have to take a step, one
Step by step.
step
Yeah.
by step.
Yeah.
So yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you both.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Thank you, Jim.
Bye.
Bye, Christine. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Antonio. Bye.